If there are only two possible options, you have to go with the better of the two. Obviously, like, rhetorically speaking, I'm not exactly thrilled to be doing anything that even sounds like defending Biden right now because of what he's doing with regards to the genocide in Palestine.
Whose fault is that? Okay, anyway.
Right. So this isn't exactly like a period of time during which I'm going to go out there and proselytize and wave banners around and, you know, shoot t-shirt cannons with Biden's face on it into the crowd. Not the time for that. More probably going to focus on tearing down the GOP, you know, but ultimately, like,
isn't it time now? Isn't it time now more than ever to do that?
Oh, it's 2 hours 10. Okay, there we go. Well, you've made a strong effort. Okay.
Right, your chat's fantastic. I had a great debate on
things you
I gotta
can
say,
do with
my
regards to advocacy and political pressure. I'm saying, no, again, no, please, again, this is political engagement. Okay, there are plenty of things that you can do to change the duopoly and change what is politically acceptable.
Lay it out from lay out the change.
It's called everything other than who you vote for on election day.
What is it?
Advocacy, pushing funding, arguing with media organizations. No, hold on. Go to local town hall meetings, write letters to your local congresspeople, write letters to local people like mayors, town commissioners, even like local city planning boards. That can do a surprising amount of good. Hey,
I remember Demon Mama and Doe giving me shit for the idea of writing letters. I don't think writing letters actually works that well, but it's like a lot of these people you would write letters to, they work in public buildings. You can just go there and talk to them, right? In America. Yeah.
Past decade or so, we've seen a recent rise in legitimately progressive politicians. Right now, yes, our government may be broadly pro-Israeli, but America is more pro-Palestine than ever before. And why? Did that just happen out of nowhere? Did that just happen out of the ether? No, it's because people worked, and they've been working for longer than any of us have been alive. There have been Palestinian advocates who for decades have had their cries for justice met with deaf ears for decades, and only now will people listen. And yesterday, just yesterday, John Oliver, a generally presentable media personality, presented a fully pro-Palestinian take to an audience of millions of people. You can do stuff, and you know what? The consequence of you doing good stuff is that people vote smarter in future primaries and you get better presidential candidates to pick from. Without changing the first past the post system or the way we currently do things on a structural level, it's still always going to be a lesser of two evils deal.
Don't you
but
think
that doesn't mean you don't do anything.
We could save those Palestinians a lot faster if all of those people who say, hey, I want a choice on Israel, were like, I don't know if I'm voting for a Democrat this year.
You assume that group of leftists has any impact. Like, they can't fucking organize. They're young people, they're people who don't vote anyway. Like, yeah, there's just not enough of that. No, like,
there isn't enough of that. No, there's a problem if you don't think your vote's going to matter if you vote third party, then you won't vote third party. There's just so little confidence in voting for third party meaning anything. And that's in some areas, Santa Claus and Elmo will get more votes than third party candidates from actual political party. If that's, you've got a long way to go. When we had Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, two of the most unelectable politicians in the country that everybody really kind of hated, and they still couldn't hit the 5% threshold necessary for certain like funding benefits that they would need to continue to expand their holds. And that's a libertarian, but that was Gary Johnson getting national news coverage, going on CNN. Where is Aleppo? It didn't go well. And until there's structural changes, we're not going to see any change. And let's, for just a moment, say that what he's talking about happened. How does that do anything but then elect Donald Trump, the person who said, if they spill an ounce of our blood, we need to spill buckets of their blood. In order to fight terrorism, we need to kill the families of terrorists, directly target terrorists. Somebody who was the person who recognized the annexation of the Golan Heights, an illegal annexation by the Israeli government of Syrian territory, which saw the expulsion of 70,000 to 130,000 people. What about the recognizing of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel? What about him appointing Jared Kushner to be his Middle East peace advisor, who wrote up the most biased, non-starter Israeli-Palestine peace plan in American history? That's the person that who's gonna lead us to peace. He'd go in there, he'd say flatten Gaza, and that'd be the end of it. I mean, listen to Mitch McConnell. I mean, not Mitch McConnell, but Lindsey Graham. Him talking about flattening Gaza. All the Republican senators going on mainstream TV. Bounce the rubble.
Never forget the map. The Gaza West Bank tunnel.
Oh God,
it's just so grim. You know what? It's actually, as a kind of soy, since we're on the soy theme, in the letter from Birmingham to Birmingham jail, MLK talks about how the protests that he had planned that got him put into jail were actually postponed. They were postponed because there was a mayoral election, and Bull Connor, the crazy Dixiecrat racist cop, was running in it, and they didn't want him to win. And they didn't want their protests to give him an excuse to run on like a law and order position, right? They didn't want it to interfere with the election. So they postponed their protests for civil rights for this mayoral election to happen. Bull Connor's opponent, who they were trying to get elected, who got elected, was a segregationist. He was just a softer segregationist than Connor. And that's what he even says it, like here. One of the basic points in your statement is that the action that I and my associates have taken in Birmingham is untimely. Some have asked, why didn't you give the new state administration time to act? The only answer I can give to this query is that the new Birmingham administration must be prodded about as much as the outgoing one before it will act. We are sadly mistaken if we feel that the election of Albert Boutwell as mayor will bring the millennium to Birmingham. While Mr. Boutwell is a much more gentle person than Mr. Connor, they are both segregationists, dedicated to the maintenance of the status quo. I have hoped that Mr. Boutwell will be reasonable enough to see the futility of massive resistance to desegregation, but he will not see this without pressure from devotees of civil rights. Like, I wonder if it was it was mayoral. Then it occurred to us that Birmingham's mayoral election was coming up in March, and we speedily decided to postpone action until after Election Day. Like, when we discovered that the Commissioner of Public Safety, Eugene Bull Connor, had piled up enough votes to be in the runoff, we decided again to postpone the action until the day after the runoff so the demonstrations could not be used to cloud the issues. Like many others, we waited to see Mr. Connor defeated, and to this end, we endured postponement after postponement. Having aided in this community need, we felt that our direct action program could be delayed no longer. Like, MLK postponed his protests to get a segregationist lesser of two evils, to get the lesser of two segregationists elected mayor. Like, I don't know, just learn your fucking lesson. Jesus Christ.
What a libtard.
Yeah, Martin liberal cuck.
Earn my fucking vote.
Again, stop with the fairy time bullshit. If all of these people somehow magically coordinated, listen, over here in reality, if some of these people all magically coordinated, if some of these people all magically coordinated, and they all decided on a single wedge issue, if they all decided,
MLK doesn't have Paul's lived experience. Yeah.
on a single wedge issue to shift their vote on one wedge issue to another candidate who would have to be developed and organized and funded and promoted entirely on this wedge issue, they would then have to have more people voting for them than the entire unified Republican Party. Ergo, what you're talking about has never happened, cannot happen. You are talking about fantasy bullshit. You're not happy with how tedious reality is. You are not brave for throwing up your arms in the air. You are not brave for throwing your arms up in the air, ignoring reality, and only saying you'll lift a finger off or lift your ass off the seat if some implausibly, impractical, historically unprecedented shit happens. No political analyst would ever say would happen.
By the way, is there any political candidate running for public office that has a decent chance of actually becoming the leader, the head of state of a nation, that meets your standard for who you would vote for?
Yeah,
that's always a great question for anti-electoral politics people who are waiting for that perfect candidate.
It's just like the entitlement of people who don't like the idea of a lesser of two evils, when it's just like, yeah, we're in a democracy where a fuck ton of people disagree with you. Like, yes, you're not going to get the perfect candidate. You're going to get far from the perfect candidate. Yeah.
These candidates have to build extremely broad coalitions to win. They're not going to align with you on every issue. There's a good chance they might even not align with you on the majority of issues. You got to use your political power in the electoral voting booth as smart as you can, voting for the person who would be the best given the situation. Doing otherwise is going to do nothing except empower their opponent.
Lonerbox, I saw a tweet saying that Ariel Sharon should be viewed as responsible for the murders of thousands of Palestinians, including those in Sabra and Shatila. Do you agree? Well, yeah, of course. Yeah. He was, even fucking the Israeli commission said, of course, because he knew that they were, he knew that the phalangists had done massacres before. He knew that they were out for revenge. He knew that their fucking leader had just been assassinated like a few days earlier. Yeah, and he let them in anyway into that camp. Yeah, into both of those neighborhoods. Yeah, and then they just stood by for 36 hours or some shit and just let it happen and just stayed. People who were responsible for the killings were the phalangists. They did that. Yeah. I feel why do I have a feeling that why do I have a feeling that you're always asking me like the same questions in chat? I feel like you're always okay, whatever. Maybe I'm paranoid. Fuck. Every time someone asks me about Sabra Shatila, I'm just like, are these people trying to like detectives trying to figure out if I like endorse it or not? Or if I one day let slip, and I'm like, oh yeah, well my dad told me that when he was firing into the fucking homes of a little family of refugees. Yeah, shit.
Can I not talk?
Oh wait, what?
Oh yeah, should we not talk about what you did over there? Okay, I will leave that for off stream.
Yeah. You do get asked that a lot. It's because people are fucking retarded. Like, whatever. They read theory, guys, who will believe a fake tweet. Well done.
Only for this will I, fucking politics king, get out of my seat and do shit. You're not special. And no, you are. You're special in a class sense. You're more privileged than the people liable to suffer. If this country goes under, I can leave. I'm rich. But there are millions of people in this country who not only don't have that privilege, but they work tirelessly to put the effort in where you think there's no point. Your day for work is not at the election booth. Your day for work is 4 years before.
For a politician to have to earn the vote of a voter. That's not unprecedented. That's literally politics
whining
101.
that you're not being catered to. You have it better than 90% of the people on this planet.
We're not talking about me personally being catered to. We're talking about the huge block of people who oppose the genocide going on in the Gaza Strip and to be heard.
And they're doing and they're doing work. And their lives will not get any easier if they just don't participate.
If those politicians have to spin on that issue to change on that issue in order to secure those votes.
You're just speaking for them. You're privileged. You're privileged and arrogant. And you're angry and you're using them as a shield. You're using them as a shield.
So of course these people would have a huger incentive than ever to want to win.
Behind
this guy's life must be so easy. It was like, I'm just gonna do nothing until the politicians do what I want them to.
Is there a single example of this like leveraging vote strategy ever working?
I don't know. Of course not. Is there? Wait, no one's. Has there ever been a movement that said we're not voting for anyone until you change your position? I don't think that's ever happened. Has that ever happened? Like, and maybe in a coup, like, we're not voting until you change something this way. Well, then, yeah, you do a coup. The DSA. Okay, that means no one.
I mean, Biden is a socialist. He did get that consent. He said, I will now officially become Lenin. He did say that in the State of the Union address.